My name is Naomi Fletcher, 31, a cardiothoracic surgeon based in Chicago. The soup hit me like a slap. Hot beef broth exploding across my face, dripping from my hair and onto the white tablecloth at my mom's 53rd birthday party. My brother Ryan slammed the empty bowl down and sneered, "You've got 15 minutes to get out of this family." Mom and Dad stared at their plates. My little sister Kayla clapped, as if it was the best show she'd seen all year. I wiped my eyes, reached into my bag, pulled out a thick folder, and dropped it on the table with a thud that silenced the room. "Fine," I said, my voice as cold as ice. 15 minutes from now, everything you own disappears. Comment where you're watching from and hit subscribe if your family has ever turned on you. Stick around, because this is only the beginning. Growing up in Charleston's humid low country, our family lived in a weathered wooden house right on the banks of the Ashley River. The place had creaked since the 80s, with peeling paint and a wraparound porch that sagged from too many summer storms. Dad, Richard Fletcher, worked long hours as a construction engineer, coming home dusty and silent most nights. Mom, Patricia Fletcher, taught 3rd grade at the local elementary school and always carried the scent of chalk and cafeteria pizza. My brother, Ryan Fletcher, arrived when I was 4, the middle child who quickly became the center of everything. From the start, he received the best of what little we had: private school tuition, scraped together from overtime pay, new sneakers every season, and a used dirt bike for his 10th birthday. Mom would beam when he brought home a B-, claiming he was just finding his way. Dad would slap him on the back for every little league hit, even the fouls. Then, 6 years after Ryan, Kayla Fletcher arrived, the baby, who solidified the favoritism. By the time she was in kindergarten, the rules had changed entirely. Her elementary school was the fancy one across town, the type with uniforms and Latin classes. Mom drove her there every morning, packing organic lunches, while I took the public bus with a peanut butter sandwich. Kayla's dance recital earned front row seats for the whole family. My science fair victories got a quick nod before Dad turned back to the TV. Money for Ryan's hobbies flowed like the river outside our door. Guitar lessons, summer camps, even a part-time job at Dad's firm that was more about hanging out than actual work. When he turned 16, a shiny red pickup appeared in the driveway, Dad's bonus from a big project. When Kayla turned 18, she got a sleek white sedan, the keys handed over at her graduation party, complete with balloons and a cake shaped like a college diploma. I watched from the sidelines, saving every paycheck from hospital shifts to cover my own loans. Grandpa Harold. Fletcher lived 20 minutes away in a modest brick ranch house filled with old medical journals and pill bottles from his pharma days. He'd built a small company in the 70s, supplying heart medications to local clinics before selling out for a decent profit. In his later years, he slowed down, but his mind remained sharp. Dad visited maybe twice a year, always rushing through with excuses about work deadlines. Mom sent birthday cards but skipped the actual days, citing grading piles or school events. Ryan ignored Grandpa's invitations completely. He'd skip Sunday dinners for hangouts with friends, texting that he was too busy, even when Grandpa called personally. Kayla was worse. She'd promised to stop by after cheer practice, only to flake with stories about study groups or mall trips. Grandpa never complained out loud, but I saw the disappointment in his eyes when the phone went unanswered again. I made the effort. Every month, no matter my residency schedule, I flew down from Chicago or drove the 12-hour stretch. We'd sit on his back patio, sipping sweet tea while he recounted stories of early drug trials and patients he'd helped indirectly. He'd quiz me on anatomy, nodding in approval at my answers. "You've got the fire, Naomi," he'd say quietly. "The others, they're just passing through." I brushed it off as old man talk, but it stuck. One weekend, when I was 25, Grandpa pulled me aside after lunch. His hands trembled slightly as he handed me a faded photo of his first lab team. "Keep pushing," he whispered. "Madison needs people who care more about lives than lifestyles." Ryan had skipped that visit for a beach trip. Kayla texted that she had a headache. Grandpa didn't mention them again that day. Holidays only highlighted the divide. Thanksgiving meant Ryan carving the turkey like a king, and Kayla snapping selfies with the pies. Grandpa sat at the end of the table, picking at his plate while Dad dominated the conversation with job site stories. Mom fussed over the younger two, refilling their glasses before anyone else. I helped clear the dishes, catching Grandpa's glance across the kitchen. He'd mouth "thank you" when no one was watching. Summers brought more of the same. Ryan and Kayla lounged by the river in new boats, while Dad financed blasting music that echoed over the water. Grandpa's fishing invitations went unread. I joined him instead, casting lines in silence while he shared tips on patience and precision. Lessons that applied to surgery as much as fishing. "Details matter," he'd repeat. "Skip them and everything unravels." By my late 20s, the pattern was set. Ryan dropped hints about needing cash for ideas, getting quick checks from Dad without questions. Kayla's college fund grew fat, while mine came from scholarships I hunted down on my own. Grandpa's health declined, heart issues, an ironic twist for a man who'd profited from cures. Visits to his house became my escape from the noise of favoritism back home. He'd greet me at the door with a weak hug, his eyes lighting up. "Tell me about your cases," he'd demand, settling into his recliner. I described complex valve repairs and bypass grafts under pressure. He listened intently, asking follow-up questions that showed he still tracked the field. "I'm proud of you," he'd murmur each time. The others, rarely a mention. One rainy afternoon, as I packed to leave, Grandpa gripped my arm. "Family isn't always who shares your blood," he said. "It's who shows up." I nodded, thinking of the empty chairs at his table over the years. Little did I know how those words would echo. 8 years into my grueling Chicago residency, the operating room had become my battlefield. Cases piled up. Congenital defects, ruptured aortas, hearts failing after years of neglect. I thrived under the pressure, stitching arteries while monitors beeped in frantic rhythm. Colleagues called me relentless. Patients called me a miracle. The breakthrough came during a midnight shift. A 68-year-old CEO collapsed at a gala. Massive myocardial infarction. Transported to our trauma bay, his vitals crashed. The attending handed me the scalpel. First assist turned lead when complications hit. I cracked the chest, bypassed 3 blocked vessels, and implanted a temporary pump to stabilize. 12 hours later, he breathed on his own. Local news exploded. "Young surgeon saves tech titan." My photo graced the Tribune headlines, praising the heart whisperer from the South. Reporters camped outside the hospital. Interviews followed. CNN, affiliate medical podcasts. The CEO sent a handwritten note. "You gave me a second chance." His company donated equipment to our cardiac wing. My name circulated in boardrooms. Fellowship offers flooded my inbox. I stayed grounded, focusing on the next chart. Back home, Ryan chased different headlines. At 23, he quit community college after 1 semester, declaring traditional education a scam. He pitched the Health Track app, wearable integration for real-time vitals, promising a revolution in preventive care. Investors bit small, banks bit bigger. Dad co-signed the initial loan, but Ryan needed more. A local lender approved $1.6 million based on prototypes and charisma. He rented co-working space downtown and hired developers fresh out of boot camps. Marketing splashed across social media. Ryan in hoodies demoing mock-ups at conferences. Kayla, then 15, tagged along for photo ops, posing with mock devices. Early demos impressed. Beta users signed up. Ryan bought a condo overlooking the Battery and leased a Tesla on credit. "This is just the start," he texted the family group. Cracks appeared fast. Coding delays mounted. Servers crashed during tests. Competitors launched similar features cheaper. Funding rounds stalled. Investors wanted revenue, not renders. Ryan doubled down, borrowing against the app's intellectual property. Suppliers demanded upfront payment. Staff quit over unpaid wages. By year 2, the $1.6 million vanished into the burn rate. The collapse hit suddenly. A key partner pulled out. A lawsuit followed for breached contracts. Bank statements turned red. Overdraft fees, collection calls. Ryan liquidated assets. The condo was sold at a loss. The Tesla was repossessed. Creditors circled. He moved into a studio, couch surfing when rent lapsed. Kayla, now 19 and in her first year of college, felt the ripple. Tuition checks bounced. Dad covered 1 semester before tapping out. She dropped to part-time classes, crashing with Ryan to save on dorm costs. They shared takeout, arguing over bills. Kayla waitressed nights, sending portions home. Ryan promised a new pivot weekly, but pitches fell flat. Grandpa Harold watched from afar. His health declined steadily. The congestive failure meds he once distributed were now sustaining him. Hospital stays lengthened. Oxygen tanks became permanent. I coordinated his care remotely, consulting his cardiologist between shifts. Ryan sent generic get-well texts. Kayla posted sympathy emojis on social media. 3 years ago, the end came quietly. Grandpa slipped away in his sleep. Monitors flatlining at dawn. I flew down immediately to handle the arrangements while the others arrived late. The funeral drew a sparse crowd. Old colleagues, a few neighbors. Dad spoke briefly. Mom dabbed her eyes. Ryan checked his phone. Kayla scrolled through her feeds. After the service, a lawyer approached me in the parking lot. Miss Fletcher, Harold specified private delivery. He handed me a sealed envelope, thick with documents inside, bearing official letterhead stating a confidential inheritance matter, designated solely to Naomi Fletcher. No details, just instructions to call for scheduling. I tucked it away, my mind racing. Family gathered at the house post-burial. Ryan eyed Grandpa's watch collection. Kayla fingered the antique vases. Dad suggested selling the property to split the proceeds fairly. I stayed silent, the envelope burning in my pocket. The lawyer's words echoed, sole designation. I excused myself early, claiming flight delays. Back in Chicago, I opened the letter alone. It outlined assets, company shares, trust details, but sealed sections required in-person verification. For your eyes only, it stressed. I locked it in my safe, telling no one. Ryan called weeks later, fishing for any paperwork Grandpa mentioned. I deflected with work excuses. Debt collectors hounded Ryan daily. Kayla transferred schools closer to his apartment, sharing grocery runs. They leaned on Mom for utilities, Dad for car insurance. I sent nothing. My own loans lingered, fellowship unpaid. The secret grew heavier with each evasive conversation. Media attention faded. Surgeries resumed. Another high-profile save, a senator's wife, kept my name circulating. Offers poured in. Private practice partnerships, research grants. I weighed my options. The envelope's promise lingered unresolved. Ryan's final pitch failed spectacularly. Demo day glitched live. Investors walked. Bankruptcy filing followed. The $1.6 million in unsecured personal guarantees triggered. Kayla quit classes entirely, picking up barista shifts to cover the basics. They shared a 1-bedroom apartment, tension thick in the air. I scheduled the lawyer meeting discreetly, booking a flight under the guise of a work conference. The inheritance remained my burden alone. The family remained oblivious to the shift about to come. The call came right after a 22-hour shift, my phone buzzing against my scrubs as I collapsed onto the on-call bunk. Ryan's name flashed. I answered, expecting another bailout plea. Instead, his voice dripped, "Honey. Hey sis, Mom's turning 53 next weekend. Big party at the house. Everyone's coming. We're all so proud of you." The famous surgeon now. Kayla jumped on the line extension pickup. "Yeah, Naomi, you have to come. It wouldn't be the same without our star." Their enthusiasm felt rehearsed, but exhaustion won out. I agreed, muttering about scheduling. Sleep came fitful. Morning rounds blurred into discharge summaries. Between patients, I slipped out to Michigan Avenue. The Swiss watch boutique gleamed under the spotlights. I selected a slim gold timepiece for Mom. Classic face, leather strap, understated elegance. The clerk engraved "To Mom with Love" on the back. Boxed and ribboned, it cost 2 paychecks, but it was worth it. Flight options were pricey last minute, so I chose to drive instead. 12 hours straight on the interstate, cutting through cornfields and mountains. I packed an overnight bag and a cooler with energy drinks. My playlist was filled with podcasts on aortic repairs. I hit the road at dawn, the Chicago skyline fading in the rearview mirror. Miles ticked by. Indiana flatlands gave way to Kentucky hills, and radio stations shifted from urban beats to country twang. I stopped once for gas in Knoxville, stretching my legs under fluorescent pumps. I thought about Mom's reaction to the watch. Her wrist always bearing a cheap gift from Dad years ago. Midway, my phone pinged. Sarah Mitchell, my ER nurse best friend since internship, texted, "Heard from a Charleston contact. Your siblings are asking around about estate lawyers. Don't go. They're stirring money pots." I stared at the screen, thumbs hovering. Another message. "Ryan's been name-dropping your CEO saved to lenders. Smells like a setup." I pulled over at a rest stop, engine idling. Sarah and I had met on day 1 of orientation. Her steady hands during codes, my precision in chaos. She knew the family dynamics and had listened to my rants over cheap wine. "Trust your gut," her final text read. My gut said proceed, eyes open. I merged back onto I-26. South Carolina signs greeted me, and the sunset painted the low country gold as Charleston approached. Familiar exits triggered memories, but I pushed them down. Focus on the party, the gift, the drive home. I arrived after dark. The house lights glowed ahead, and I parked behind a row of cars, more than expected. I grabbed the watch box and slung my bag over my shoulder. The door opened before I could knock. Ryan grinned wide, pulling me into a hug that lingered too long. The hero returns. Kayla bounced in the hallway, snapping a selfie. Family reunion, Mom appeared, apron dusted with flour. Her eyes widened at my scrubs still on. "Naomi, honey, you drove all this way?" I presented the box. She unwrapped it carefully, a gasp escaping as the gold caught the light. "It's beautiful." She slipped it on her wrist, the transformation unmistakable. Dad nodded in approval from the couch, beer in hand. Guests milled about, neighbors, old classmates, a few faces from Ryan's failed venture. Sarah's warning echoed in my mind. Ryan steered me to the kitchen, arm around my shoulders. "We've got big plans for Mom's Day. Speeches, toasts." Kayla poured sweet tea, ice clinking. Their energy buzzed unnaturally. I settled into the guest room upstairs, the same one from childhood, though the posters were long gone. I unpacked the essentials and set the alarm for an early departure after the party. My phone charged, Sarah's texts still unread. Downstairs, laughter rose. The scent of barbecue wafted up. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling cracks, 12 hours behind the wheel, body aching, mind alert. The watch sat gift-wrapped, no longer just a gift, but something else wrapped tight, anticipation mixed with dread. The house glowed under string lights in the backyard, strands crisscrossing above folding tables draped in checkered cloths. Nearly 50 guests mingled on the grass, cousins, old high school friends, Dad's work buddies nursing beers. Smoke rose from the grill, where ribs sizzled, hickory scent mixing with citrus from the lemonade pitchers. Mom held court near the dessert station, the new watch sparkling as she accepted hugs. Dad flipped burgers, apron stained with sauce. Ryan circulated with a tray of deviled eggs, laughing loudly at every joke. Kayla posed for group photos, the phone flash popping. I grabbed a plate, loading it with coleslaw and brisket. A neighbor cornered me first. "Heard you're saving lives up north." More followed with questions about surgeries and city living. I answered politely, fork midway to my mouth. Ryan spotted me across the lawn and waved me over to his cluster. "Everyone, this is the sister I told you about." "The heart duck." Claps rippled through the crowd. Ryan slung an arm around my shoulders. "Health Tracks is getting new life. Investors are circling again. Prototype 2 launches next quarter." Heads nodded in approval. One guy in an Apollo shirt asked for technical details. Ryan rattled off buzzwords: AI integration, cloud syncing, debts restructuring. "Clean slate soon," he finished with a confident grin. Kayla chimed in nearby, her voice carrying. "And I'm heading to Europe for a study abroad program in Paris. Fashion marketing semester." Applause followed for her as well. She twirled in her sundress, the fabric flaring. The scholarship covered half, and she was saving for the rest. Guests cooed over her ambition. The conversation shifted back to me. An aunt leaned in, her voice curious. "Still single, Naomi? With that salary, you could buy a mansion." Laughter erupted. Ryan grinned. "Yeah, renting a condo. Dr. Money going to ramen noodles." Kayla joined the teasing. "Living like a med student. Pizza boxes and takeout. When's the upgrade?" More chuckles followed. I forced a smile, chewing slowly. "Priorities differ," I replied, trying to brush it off. Dad called for toasts. Glasses were raised, sweet tea for some, beer for others. Mom beamed, center stage. Ryan spoke first, his voice booming. "To the woman who held us together." Kayla added a tearful bit about the best mom ever. I stayed quiet, my plate emptying. Ryan pulled Kayla aside near the hedge, speaking in a hushed whisper. Just keep her from interfering. Kayla nodded, her eyes darting my way. Music started, a Bluetooth speaker pumping out oldies. Couples danced on the patio bricks. I slipped to a table, refilling my tea. Another relative approached. Your siblings are on fire. Ryan's comeback. Kayla's adventure. You must be thrilled. I nodded vaguely, watching Ryan glad-handing a banker type, gesturing wildly about equity rounds. Kayla scrolled through her phone, showing Europe brochures to a circle of girls. Their excitement was genuine. Mine was guarded. The fire pit crackled to life. Marshmallows were passed around. Stories flowed, mostly about childhood antics, with the younger two starring. I contributed little, observing how little had changed. Mom found me later, the watch glinting on her wrist. Thank you again, she said, hugging me tight. Dad grunted nearby in approval. Ryan interrupted, pulling Mom away for photos. Kayla tagged along arm in arm. Guests thinned as stars emerged. Cleanup began. Trash bags were stacked, chairs folded. I helped with the tables, muscles sore from the drive. Ryan clapped me on the back. Great having you here, sis. Kayla hugged me quickly. Stay longer next time. Their warmth was surface level, eyes calculating. Ryan stood up, lifting the entire soup tureen. Kayla giggled beside him. The remaining guests quieted, sensing a shift. He cleared his throat theatrically. Before dessert, a quick announcement. Grandpa left an inheritance for the whole family, pharma company shares, plus a trust fund. Naomi gets nothing. Silence dropped like a curtain. Forks paused midair. Mom's smile froze. Dad set down his beer. I met Ryan's gaze. That's wrong. He never said it was for everyone. His face twisted red. You calling me a liar? The tin tilted. Hot beef soup cascaded over my head. Broth burned my scalp. Chunks sliding down my neck onto the dress. Gasps erupted. Kayla covered her mouth, eyes wide with mock shock. Ryan slammed the empty vessel. You have 15 minutes to leave this family. Kayla stepped forward, her voice sweet. Just accept it, sis. You don't have a share. I wiped broth from my lashes with a napkin, reached into my bag, pulled out the thick folder, and slammed it on the table. Plates rattled. Fine. 15 minutes from now. Everything you have vanishes. I opened the folder, flipped to the notarized will copy, and read aloud. I, Harold Fletcher, bequeath my pharmaceutical company shares, valued at $3.5 million, and the trust fund of $1.8 million solely to my granddaughter, Naomi Fletcher. She alone continues my mission in cardiac medicine through her surgical practice. Explicitly excluded are those who showed indifference during my lifetime. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Dad stared blankly. Ryan's mouth opened and closed. Kayla's giggle died. I pointed to the signatures, the witness seals, the notary stamp. See the signatures? Witnesses, notary seal. No provision for the cold-hearted. That's you. A cousin leaned in, scanning the pages. It's legit, murmurs spread. Phones emerged, flashes capturing the document. Someone whispered, he cut them out. Ryan lunged for the papers. I pulled back. Touch it, and it's tampering. He froze, veins bulging. Kayla tugged at his sleeve. Do something. Dad finally spoke, his voice weak. Harold never mentioned it because you visited twice in 5 years. He turned to Mom. Cards don't count as presents. She looked away, the watch heavy on her wrist. Guests shifted uncomfortably. One aunt muttered, explains the favoritism stories. Another nodded. Naomi was always there. Ryan stood, fists clenched. This can't stand, he growled. Lawyers will contest this and trigger the no contest clause. He tapped the paragraph in the will. Any challenge voids your claim forever, even if you thought you had one. Kayla's eyes darted to the exits. But we need you assumed, she pleaded. I closed the folder. Assumptions cost. Soup cooled and clung to my skin, but the room heated with tension. Phones recorded discreetly. A neighbor was live streaming to a group chat. Comments scrolled in real time, the audible drama feeding into the frenzy. She got it all. Mom reached out. Naomi, she started, but I cut her off. No, I stood firm. Public declaration deserves public correction. Dad rubbed his temples. Ryan kicked a chair leg. Kayla scrolled frantically, probably searching for legal loopholes. Guests formed clusters, debating the authenticity of the will. One pointed to the date it was signed, 6 months before Grandpa's passing. "Updated after your last no-show birthday," they said. Ryan roared, "You hid this private designation." "Lawyer's orders," I shrugged. "You announced first." Silence thickened. Broth dripped from my hair onto the tablecloth, staining it red. No one moved to help. A guest finally broke the stillness. "Congrats, Naomi. Deserved." Sparse claps followed, awkward and reluctant. Ryan's glare could melt steel. Kayla whispered urgently in his ear. He shook her off. I folded the folder back into my bag. "Clock's ticking," I said, Ryan's fist raised in anger. I slid 3 stapled packets from the inner pocket of my bag and spread them like playing cards on the table. Packet 1. IRS Form 4564, official seal, addressed to Ryan M. Fletcher. Taxpayer ID ending in 82981. The header. Notice of Audit Health Track LLC. Bullet points listed. Deducted $680,000 in marketing with 0 invoices. $420,000 in equipment leases for assets never delivered. Closing civil fraud penalty of 75%. Criminal referral pending, I explained calmly. Your bankruptcy lawyer forwarded this when I inquired about liens in the public record. Ryan tore it open, paper ripping, his face red with rage. They can't prove? They already did. Packet 2. A single page from the trust, marked with a bright yellow highlighter over Clause 7b. In the event any beneficiary, heir, or claimant initiates litigation contesting the validity or distribution of this trust, such party shall forfeit all rights to any benefit here and be liable for opposing legal fees. The notary seal was dated 3 months after the will. Grandpa added this after your last skipped visit, I said. The lawyer mailed me the update, standard for sole beneficiary. Kayla's lips trembled. So if we sue, we get 0 and pay my costs? I nodded and moved to the 3rd packet. Packet 3. A 38-page debt assignment letter on bank letterhead. Dated 2022. The first page showed a transfer of a promissory note, $1.6 million from First Coastal Bank to Naomi Fletcher. MD, my signature notarized beside the bank, VP page 5. Acceleration clause triggered. Page 7. Foreclosure timeline notice. Monday auction Friday. I bought the note to secure Grandpa's legacy, I continued. Your default triggered cross-collateralization. Condo, car, everything. Ryan's scream shattered the glassware. He hurled the contract, and pages fluttered like confetti. Kayla sank to her knees, buckling. Mom whimpered. This is cruel. This is consequence, I replied. A guest whispered, she bought his bankruptcy. Ryan bolted toward me. I stepped behind the grill. Officers appeared at the gate, 2 uniforms, 1 sergeant. A welfare check, 9 to 47 p.m., the sergeant stated. Neighbor reported threats, I nodded. Caller. All evidence here. Ryan jabbed a finger at me. She attacked me. The sergeant glanced at the soup crust in my hair, then at Ryan's clean shirt. No marks. Civil, he said. Kayla clutched the copy of the will. We're homeless by Friday, I confirmed. Dad supported Mom inside. Guests scattered into the shadows. Ryan kicked the table leg, and the wood cracked. Cuffs flashed. Last warning. Ryan froze. Kayla followed, her voice breaking. Please, she whispered. Options? The sergeant advised. Bankruptcy court. Tomorrow the yard's cleared. Lights off. Embers dead, I said quietly. I zipped the bag. 4 months later, the foreclosure notice was taped to Ryan's door. A red stamp glaring under the porch light. The auction followed. The condo sold for pennies on the dollar. Chapter 7 filed. Debts discharged except for the IRS lien. Ryan rented a studio above a laundromat. The walls were thin, and the vibrations from the washer were constant. Kayla quit college mid-semester. Tuition unpaid, credits frozen. She clocked full shifts at a downtown coffee chain. Apron stained, tips meager. Double espressos for tourists. Fake smiles through exhaustion. Dreams of Europe faded to inventory counts. A handwritten letter arrived from Mom and Dad, the envelope scented with old perfume. Pages of apologies. We were blind. Please forgive us. I read it once by the fireplace, then fed it to the flames. Ashes scattered. No response sent. The pharma shares transferred seamlessly. $3.5 million in blue-chip stock, dividends rolling quarterly. A board seat was offered. I accepted remotely. The profits funded expansions in cardiac research. The trust's $1.8 million was liquidated clean. I established the Harold Fletcher Scholarship Fund. Full rides for low-income South Carolina pre-med students from the Low Country. The first recipients were 2 students from Charleston Public Schools, their essays echoing Grandpa's passion for accessible care. I blocked every number, including Ryan's burner attempts. Kayla's pleas to my parents came through the landline. I changed the locks on my Chicago condo and upgraded security. Deleted contacts, photos, group chats. A clean slate. Colleagues noticed the shift. Fewer family mentions. A sharper focus in the operating room. Sarah toasted the fund launch over wine. Legacy secured. Ryan was spotted once at a gas station, unkempt, pumping cheap fuel into a beater. Our eyes met. He looked away first. Kayla served me unknowingly at the airport kiosk. Name tag shiny. Order taken mechanically. I paid cash, left no tip, and boarded without a word. Parents tried sending a holiday card. It was returned unopened. True family isn't blood. It's respect, earned and returned. If you've received this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on more amazing content. Join the community and stay tuned for what's coming next.